Today we're having a look at the 2025 NTL Men's Open Grand Final.
Oh, how about that? It's even better.
Count of the man, count of the hour.
That is sensational.
Okay, underway the 2025 NTL or the Championships Grand Final, Men's Open. With the ball is the Hunter Western Hornets, and they are playing against the Sydney Mets. So as you can see, one of the halves of the field's just a quick background. The majority of this weekend, which is the weekend just gone, had significant rain. So the sub box to the camera side and that surrounding area at halfway is just mud. So whoever won the toss, they were more than happy to choose the dry and grassy sub box. So just a bit of background on that, and just in case you do see some people slip over, which you might not. It's just the highlights, but definitely watch the whole game, and you'll notice the difference between teams being able to stay on their feet. But here's Met's first attacking raid into the in goal. Now it's a bit of a weird one, this, and I'll go through why. So in the lead up, you see the latch is actually in his own half. That's supposed to be a cross. He's in his own half. So the Hunter Western Hornets pride themselves on midfield D. I might actually go into what I thought about the tactics from each team. If you'd like me to, just drop it in the comments if you'd like to hear about that sort of stuff. But so the Hunter Western Hornets have done a good job holding them up into their own half. And this is the fifth dump. And as you can see, it looks like what they were trying to do is a middle. They're right in the middle of the field. Like that's probably that's a terrible, it's supposed to be a straight dotted line, but that's like the middle of the field. So middle going down for a middle. However, you can see that there's one winger on this side and three on the far side, as far as the camera goes, the far side. So it's actually not a middle at all. It's a middle link, which now all of a sudden, if you pick up the ball, hypothetically, this player here is defending this guy. Dummy half should be defended by this player here. But whether or not there's just confusion in both the attack and defense, and maybe there's a little bit of watching on the Hornets player that's fallen over, this is actually man on. When you think about it, we have link locked onto link, middle locked onto dummy half, and then everyone else, you can see, just has a man. And this is just a case of beating them for speed. Let's go slow motion. About to sneeze, so if you hear a sneeze. And that's just it. It's beating them for speed, and now it's just manning up. So what Mets are going to try and do is try and find vacant space. If you've seen my video on the cut, the winger would come in like this with the link going around the back. However, in this one, these two guys here are shoulder to shoulder, and the Mets guy just seems to bump away from him and get into some free space. So again, not really anything tactical or amazing technical here. It's just some explosive dummy half running in which you just beat the Hornets player for speed. And when you get banged up in your own half, in the first four touches especially, that's really your best option, is just to pin the ears back and just run as fast as you can, see if you can run through a gap. And Mets did that really well. So Hornets hit back here, but you can see that there's a lot of time. It's been 10 minutes since a try, so it's a big defensive game. And then they run the counties play. Okay, so counties, this is the play. If you are the ball player with the ball like this, and you want to be the ball player, this is the play to do when you're in a bit of trouble or things aren't going your way. I do have a video about this. Middle comes up, and it's just you, excuse me, you split in and then go forward and attack the offside middle. You get the ball back in like a quickie. It's like a step in quickie with your link. All right, in this situation here, when you've got two in the touch, you can step either way. You can step in and run that counties, or you can blast out and then go for the line in a punish, because you've got two people up in the touch, which defensively, that's not very good, because if number 4 here makes the touch, then the link isn't there to step up and cover him on the short side. If the link makes the touch, the number 4 as the middle is not on his inside ready to step off the line to cover him either. But what they do, they go the counties, so they step in. And you can see this player here starting to get off the line, which is great. And Hornets have probably done some video stuff, and they understand that the Mets get off the line hard. So this is an immediate rip pass straight to your link, and immediate. The reason he does it immediately or very, very quick is so that by the time they get off the line, they're not in that passing lane. You can see this guy here starting to get off the line, and he just reaches up for that pass, but he can't get it. If he had took 2 more steps with the ball, that the ball player, the guy that passed it, that would be intercepted. So it was like a counties with a rip pass to the link. And the reason he goes a couple of steps before, you don't want to just get it here and then pass it. All right, by him taking a step forward just to there, it engages this guy, it engages this guy to come forward, and all of a sudden now a hole might open up for the short runner. So that's good practice. Take a couple of steps, but it still is an early pass. Like that. And then it's just nice quick hands from the link, and a finish off to the winger. It's a bit of a makeshift winger in this tournament. The Hornets did have a pretty significant injury. Anyway, that's the hit back. The score was wrong at the time. Mets had a disallowed try, but they kept it on the live stream. So now you can have a look at the time here. It's 25:37. Now they have 16-minute halves at NTL. So we're almost 10 minutes into the second half, and we haven't had another try. But let's have a look at this passage of play. So they go against, there's the slipovers there. They go against the grain Mets with their rucking. And I think they've only had 1 touch so far. And now they can sort of slow things down because they're approaching that 7. Before we go to the rest, they do score at the end of this set, hence why it's on here. But let's have a look at this rucking. Now, I mentioned at the start, Hornets pride themselves on their midfield D. Now, there's one, and he's barely over the 7. So Hornets will shoot. They'll just send shooters. They work really hard in defense. And they know that Mets are more than likely just going to just sub. They just want to get off. So there's no threat on the open side. So Hornets are just going to stack that channel in defense and just put you under a heap of pressure. But what happened here is the player with the ball has stopped making his way to the box, and he switched under the dummy half, and he sees all the space out this way. Because this here is your link. And look how far over he is. So there's one winger left on his own to defend that whole open side. And if you've still got a winger here, if you can just burn everyone, you've got a 2-on-1. And some teams will never take this risk, and other teams are all for it. But you can see, look at 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think there's one person just back here off camera. So that's how bunched Hornets are. And look, when you sub normally, that will cause you a lot of problems. But Mets have got some nice eyes up here, and they see the space, and they just take it. And this is probably going on 30 meters now that they've gained. And there's the slip over. You can see there's a couple of, look at the state of the ground. It wasn't very good there, and might have had an injury or a little twist of an ankle or something. But there's still only been that 1 touch. And now that they've gained their meters, Hornets have set their line. They can start throwing their ball back over to where the box is, and players can make their way off. And it's just good. I think it's just healthy for the game to see some options like that where you go away from your box. But anyway, let's get to the rest of the set. So they've only burnt 2 touches, I believe. And now they're parked on the 7. It's a nice little passage of play. There's a lot to unpack in that one. That's the Mets try. So it starts with, now this is a nice idea what they're doing. Kai Simbolin here is probably one of their most dominant ball players. He's a lethal attacking option for Sydney Mets. And he goes for a short side quickie. And he's running right on the shoulder of the Hornets defender. Now, naturally, if that's your best attacker, that's usually where you would assume the ball goes. However, the dummy half dummies it and takes off the other way, hoping to get into the in goal because this guy would have overcommitted. We continue play. And we can see that now the Hornets have recovered. This guy's going to latch onto the dummy half. Link can chase out. Winger can chase out on the short side, and they just man up. So that's a good recovery. So what happens next? This Link identifies that, changes his angle to go underneath as a switch. Lets him run all the way in. All right, you can see how close these guys are to making the touch, all the way in. He's nice and deep. So neither one of these Hornets players can make a touch on both of them at the same time. And the only unfortunate thing with a switch back to the open side is it's very hard for these guys on the open to recover and hit a hole. So he's got the numbers now. You can see this is Link on middle. And that gives a 2-on-1 out on the edge. So he throws it over the top. But it's a good read from the Hornets winger. However, unfortunately, he slides 3 meters past the mark. So now Hornets are defending down a player. The Link, it's a terrible angle here. It's good for cinema, but it's bad for analysis. And you can see the Link here. He'll go and cover where his winger should have been. Everyone else has then got to come in. And when they run this phase, everyone's just a little bit late coming over. So here's the quick phase. And by phase, we mean just an immediate play the ball, roll on to the next play after the touch was made. And that's just it there. Nice phase. Nice variation of the subbing. I think it's a well-deserved try for the Mets on this one. So this came immediately after the Mets try, and this is the best replay we can get. So it's actually a splitter. So we got 2 middles here, and the Link's coming up to split the ruck. So he's going to split. The guy that dumped the ball is going to split hard to the short side, and it's very important when you're running a splitter that the dummy half gives and then gets away from the ball carrier. You never want to be in a situation, like I said before, where one defender can touch 2 players, because then a draw and pass becomes irrelevant. All right, so there's the splitter, but dummy half once again takes off. He had a premeditated curl on his run, whereas this guy's flat-footed. So in theory, you should be able to get them for speed, and you can see the splitter has angled around here for a trail option. Defender's just done a really good job at covering the inside. So he's got into the in goal now. This is where we see just trying to find vacant space, and he's just thrown it, and it's a great catch. And a great put down. Now, the rules in touch, you have to get a grip. You have to catch before you score. And as you can see there, he's caught the ball, and then he grounds it. You can't just slam dunk it onto the grass in touch. I don't know about internationally, but in Australia, you definitely can't do that. Catch, put down, 1 point for Hornets, leveling the game at 2-2. And considering this game actually didn't rain, last year at NTL, it was quite a wet grand final, and there was, I think, there's like almost like 10 plus tries. This grand final was very, very heavily emphasized on defense and a big grind. So let's have a look at this passage now. So the Mets just try something similar to their first try, where they had playmaker here. Oh, it might not have been. It sort of led up to their first try. Playmaker here, splitting hard, and then the dummy half taking off the opposite way. And you can see that he gets into the in goal here, and the winger's done a good job to identify that this Link, he stepped off the line and the ball's just got past him. So he comes in because this is the easy option to score a try. Had he have gone over the top, obviously he would have had an unmarked winger, but it's the harder option. So winger saves the day there, making the touch. Gets the ball, and it's a quick transition for the Hornets. And let's just see how this set plays out. So pressure here from Mets. Light hands with the passing. 3 touches here. Not bad. He's over halfway on 3. Over that 10-meter line on 4. We're just going 4 on 3, out ball, and a nice tap on. So the rucking there was really good. And the best part of this rucking, now this is risky. When you're rucking, you can just always pass it, draw and pass. This one here. Like a lot of times you can try and throw that pass and the ball goes over the sideline, it goes to ground. It takes a lot of practice with some light hands there. But what that did, this is second touch coming. And it just got you extra meters and now 2 players offside. And realistically, someone should have been here to make that touch. But because of that draw and pass before, the 2 guys that are in the line of making the touches were both offside. So they had to get onside before they could make the next touch, allowing Hornets to get some momentum and some meters. But let's play into this. So here's the latch. Now, this is just a 43 platform. No, a 43. There's no number 4s. A 32 platform. I think I said 43 before. What am I doing? 32 platform for the latch. So the latch is going to hold his ground, and this middle is just going to drive back in at the same middle that made the touch on the latch. And as we can see here, not only does he do that, he drives past the middle, and he jams into this link as well. So again, we've got 2 guys up in the touch, and then 2 other guys on the 7. Now, because this middle's really tight, the dummy half is going to just throw an out ball to his middle, and it becomes a foot race. So there's the angle. You can see his angle changes now. So he's got a head start on his run than this defender, and now it's just a race. So obviously you would put your fastest player there. It's not the greatest pass, but it is terrible conditions, and it's a left to right. And one of my videos, I emphasize the importance of communication on the field. Now, in my opinion, Mets are good. All right? That is man on. I think that they should be able to make the touch here, however this happens. So, I'm not saying this is the winger's fault at all. All right? Wingers have to make a decision. They've got to make the toughest decisions in the game. One good thing he did was he waited until the ball had left the passer's hands before coming in. All right, granted, that was a really good tip on. Okay, it's hard to defend tap-ons. But you can see when he's tapping it on, the number 88, the link, he had him. And the reason I'm saying this is not the winger's fault is he may have hit it from his angle. And this is important in every single game that you play. The importance of communication. From that angle where that winger is, that distance between the that's a defender, the defender to the link, that could look twice as big. All right, he's got this guy right in front of him, and he could look so much further away from the defender as possible. Unless he hears something, he's probably well within his rights to think that guy's going to score. All right, and I'm not saying there was no communication here. I just believe that in a men's open grand final, if you're communicating to stay out, they don't come in. But like I said, I was driving home during this game. I had KO on in my car. When the reception decided to be kind, I was listening to this game, and you can't hear what's being said on the field. So not too sure what's happened there, but just to emphasize the importance of communication to stop just unnecessary shutdowns. Now, whether that's from a winger or a link or even a middle, very important communication. And that's it. Only 5 tries in the game. So I was very surprised considering the semi-final, I think for the Mets was like 7-6 and the Hornets was like 8-7. Very surprised this game was as low scoring as it was. Not exciting. That doesn't mean it's not an exciting game. It just means for try highlights, when I search for the try highlights, there's just not as many. But I might do a conversation about what I thought of even just the first 5 minutes of the tactics of especially what Mets were trying to do to put Hornets off their game. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I was at this tournament. Like I said, it was very cold and very wet for the majority of the first 2 days. It did clear up on the finals day with just one sort of spell during the men's 20s grand final of rain. But yeah, great tournament. It's good to be back at touch because Australia on the East Coast has had a lot of things cancelled lately because of the weather. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video, or I'll see you at touch, which is where I'm going tonight.